Hey guys, so if you're new here, I'm Ian, and today we're talking about the Apple Watch and its ability to do sleep tracking. So, if you've seen some of my previous videos, we've talked about the Apple Watch Ultra. So, the Apple Watch Ultra is Apple's newest watch, released at their September event. So, you can find out more, I believe it's up here, over there, in that video about what I personally love about it. But, something I didn't touch upon was sleep tracking. So, sleep tracking occurs when you set up a schedule in the Health app under the Sleep section or through the Clock app, which I then think redirects you actually to the Health app. But it occurs when you set up your schedules, your wake-up time, and your estimated downtime, I believe, which is when you first put your phone, when you essentially put your phone down and you're winding down to go to bed. So for Apple Watch sleep tracking, after you set that up, you just wear your watch to bed. You get the extra large face that says the time and the alarm. Now, you still can use your watch if you hold in the digital crown, similar to that of how it's been on previous generations and how it is now with watchOS 9 with the water lock. It's now press and hold instead of spin the digital crown as it used to be. So, why are we filming this video? We've talked about Apple Watch sleep tracking in the past. You can also find that up here. Now, that was with watchOS 8 and previous versions of watchOS. So, Apple, in September as well, also announced the first major sleep tracking features, essentially, to watchOS and allowed them to really take full advantage of what the Apple Watch can do. So, features exclusive to Series 8 are the temperature tracking, which you have to wear your watch to sleep for 5 nights first, and then it'll establish your baseline and then let you know. But other than that, you really can't use a temperature sensor. So if you're buying it for sleep tracking, that's great. Now, that's just one of the few things your Apple Watch can track when you sleep. So now with watchOS 9, your Apple Watch can track your REM, deep, core, or your light sleep, as well as when you're awake. So it'll tell you all of this throughout the app in a very clean and nice data grid, I guess you could say. I'll throw up one right here so you can see what it looks like. It tells you how long you were asleep, how long you were in bed for, which is tracked using your iPhone, basically, when you stop using your iPhone or Apple Watch. Once your phone is down, it knows you're in bed, but your Apple Watch actually knows when you go to sleep because your heart rate slows. Now, that is also another thing it tracks. It tracks your heart rate, your respiratory rate, as well as your stages of sleep. So this is brand new with watchOS 9, as we have not had this ability before, and personally, it's one of the features I love about watchOS 9. So when you track your sleep, you might be thinking, when do you charge it? So Apple has actually kind of thought about this by giving us faster charging with the Apple Watches. I believe it takes now 1 hour and 20 minutes to fully charge an Apple Watch. So you could just throw it on the charger, and it has to be above 30% to track your sleep. On average, I would say I lose about 10 to 15%. I don't really lose a lot, but it really depends on how long I'm sleeping. Am I going to sleep after my alarm goes off? Which is another thing we have to talk about. When you go to sleep after wearing your Apple Watch and you wake up or your alarm goes off, it doesn't continue tracking, which I think is the one thing they have to fix. Now this, whether it's watchOS 10 or whether it's a watchOS 9 point something update, as I don't think it's a big feature to ask for, but it would be very nice to just go to sleep and not have to worry about, oh, I slept later, and then kind of have to guess, because you can add in that you were asleep. You just can't add in your sleep stages, because you don't know what stage you were in, you were sleeping. But having these new measurements, I find very insightful, as it can tell you if there's something wrong. It can tell you if there's something that's kind of like out of sorts. If maybe there's a constant reason you're getting up at night, you can kind of pinpoint where it is, what's causing it, and if you need to, go to a medical professional to get this looked at and evaluated. Now, you also can set a sleep goal, which personally I think it's smart, but it's also, in my opinion, not smart, because the way it works is it takes the last 2 weeks or 14 days and looks at how well you've been sleeping. And if you hit that sleep goal, you'll get an alert every morning saying, like, congrats, you hit your sleep goal, or like, what a way to start the day, you hit your sleep goal 10 of the past 14 days. Good job. And while I think that's beneficial, I also see it as kind of don't rub it in my face that I'm not sleeping, because there are reasons, there are other things going on in life where you can't sleep for as much time as you say. It's just annoying having to micromanage every little step, as I've set it up and I've just left it. I haven't really changed it. I've just changed my sleep schedule when the time comes. So when you wake up, this is what you'll see in the health app. Now, on your Apple Watch, when you wake up, you do get a little good morning screen with today's date, the time, your battery percentage, as well as the weather, and also I believe how long you slept. I'm not 100% sure on that. I've seen it, but I'm half asleep half the time, so I just dismiss it. But this is what the graph looks like, and you can see it breaks it down into nice colors. So we have our deep sleep, our core sleep, our REM sleep, and when you were awake. So awake is you were up for a few minutes. Now it doesn't tell you why, because if it did, I feel a little creepy, because you were sleeping. But it'll tell you you were awake here, you were awake here, and you can just scroll through, and it'll tell you how long you were in each stage, which I also think is pretty cool, as if we look at previous watchOS and how it used to track, it just used to be, you were asleep, you woke up, you went back to sleep in like a teal color, so now we have all this data, and we can compare it to previous days, and you can still break it down into your amounts, and this is how it basically used to look in the past, and you can also compare it to previous days, weeks, months, and even 6 months. So if we go back to stages, you can see how long you were in each stage here, and the percentage of your sleep. So if we scroll down, we can see some highlights. So we have our respiratory rate, our heart rate, as well as our respiratory rate when we are sleeping over a multitude of days. And then you also can see your schedule. So in the schedule, it shows you your next one, as well as every other schedule you may have. You can create multiple, which I think is pretty nice, because not every day you have the same routine. Some days you have to wake up earlier, some days you have to wake up later, or you could sleep in. So it's pretty cool that we can go in and manually set it. But I also would like, as I said before, a way to just, if I'm going back to sleep, keep tracking. So if we look at the schedule, we have the ability to turn it on or off, and we have the ability to use schedule for sleep focus. So if you have it set up, it'll go on right away. You can see our schedule. So if we click add schedule, it'll let you pick days. You can adjust it just by spinning the wheel, move it entirely if you have to move your time, and then you can select days. Now, because I have all of mine scheduled already, it's asking if I would like to change it. And then if we scroll down, we have the ability to turn on or off the alarm. So if you turn on the alarm, this is personally one of my favorite features with the Apple Watch, is it'll wake you with like a nice little tap. And that's like the best way to be woken up. Instead of like the normal iPhone alarm that's like bah, 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 and like you're like jolted awake. It's pretty cool. And now we do also have some nice sounds. We have a total of 9 sounds. So we have early riser, which is like a very subtle. We have first light, Helios, Orbit, which reminds me of the Find My iPhone sound. Bird song, I can't talk, which is just birds chirping, you know, a great way to wake up in the morning. Then we have droplets. Very serene. It reminds, like, that would put me to sleep, I feel like. I don't think I'd wake up to that. And this is sunny, which I think is like perfect. It's like, today's gonna be a great day. We have Springtide, my personal favorite. And we also have Bright Eyed, which is loud. Now, if that doesn't wake you up, I don't know what would. And you also have the ability to set the volume, so you can raise it all the way, you can lower it, which I think is pretty cool because it has its own volume instead of using your iPhone volume. But Apple, allow us to control it all in one screen. And we also have the ability to turn on or off snooze. So if you wake up and want to go back to sleep, you can snooze it. But I shouldn't. If I'm going back to sleep, half the time I wake up and I just go right back to sleep. I just turn it off and roll back over. I'm not hitting snooze. We also have our wind down time under additional details, so you can pick how long you want it to wind down for. So I have it just set for 30 minutes, so this will turn your lock screen dim and turn on the sleep focus 30 minutes before your scheduled bedtime. And then we have our sleep goal. I personally have it set for 7. That's more than enough for me. You have the ability to track your time in bed. So if your phone is on the charger and not being used, it'll be like, okay, you're in bed, and it'll start tracking. And then we also have reminders, so you'll get a notification 30 minutes when or whenever your wind down time starts, saying, hey, it's time to wind down, or it's time for bed. And then it'll also have the ability, as I said earlier, to tell you when you are sleeping or not, and be like, congratulations, you hit your goal. And then also, we can manage sleep in the Apple Watch settings. So this takes you to the Apple Watch app, and you have the ability to turn on track your sleep with Apple Watch, or not, if you don't want to track your sleep, as well as charging reminders. So if you don't want it to track your sleep, this is probably because you have multiple Apple Watches and you don't need them all going off. I know I have that problem, as I've been using an older Apple Watch to track my sleep. I know, I can wear my Ultra to sleep. It's too big to wear to sleep. That's the one thing. But this one's also 45 millimeters, and it's small. So, would I wear my Ultra to sleep? Yes. I won't, though, because it's too big. And the battery allows for it. It can also track your blood oxygen level while you're sleeping. My old Apple Watch, this is an SE, so this is 44 millimeters. So it actually cannot track my blood oxygen or take an EKG. But you're not taking an EKG during your sleep, I hope. So it will track your blood oxygen, which is pretty nice, having that feature and the ability to track your blood oxygen, because it's just more data you have to yourself, but also you have to think, how truly accurate are these wearables that we are wearing? Because it could be accurate, or it could not be accurate. So I say take it more as a guide instead of there's something wrong. And that's it for me. Personally, as I said earlier, I'm curious to see how Apple improves on this in the future. Maybe we'll get the ability to change our watch faces when we're in sleep mode, instead of it just being an extra large face with the time, which I think would be pretty cool. But overall, they've done great things with watchOS 9, and I want you to remember, today's a good day to make a great day. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts, so you can leave me a comment below. We can have a conversation about this, as well as while you're down there, if you want to hit the subscribe or like button, that really helps me out, as I know you want to see more of this content and more of my takes or my hot takes on some things, because I do have some hot takes on some things Apple has done over the course of the year. But we'll get to those soon. But I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.